And I'm here with David Medansky, author of Walkaway Craps and Holy Craps. And David, I also understand that you written some more books.
Yes, my first book was Craps: A Winning Strategy, and then also Craps Playing for the Money, in addition to Walkaway Craps and Holy Craps.
How long have you actually been playing craps?
Approximately 20 years.
So in that 20 years' time, you've seen a lot of different ways of playing, and how about reading different books on the subject?
Oh, I've read more than 70 books on the subject, have a whole library full of books from John Scarney to Sharpshooter's book to Sklobletti's books to, so many authors out there. But yes, I've read many, many books on the subject. Sam Grafstein's one of them.
Besides your book, what other book, if you had to pick one, would you recommend to everybody?
Well, there's two I would recommend to everybody. The first one is The Dice Doctor by Sam Grafstein, and the second one is John Scarney on Dice, and both of those are excellent books. Also, John Patrick does a great job on writing his books for craps and advanced craps.
Yeah, I've seen your betting method. I've read your books. I agree wholeheartedly on them. What is the one betting method that you would like to see covered?
Well, as you know, Rick, I emphasize that there's no one betting method that works consistently, that you have to be flexible and see what's happening at the table. As an example, last night we were playing, and a friend of mine was betting what we call the 1-2-3 bet, and he made $50 on each roll, and after two shooters, he was up over $150. I was betting a different method, and it took me a little longer, but I was up $135 after 4 rolls of the dice. So again, different methods work. It's your comfort level. It's what you feel confident in, and you have to be observing what's happening at the table. If you're at a cold table, you have to bet one way, or if you're at a hot table, you have to bet another. And the main thing is to recognize what there is. Also, most people don't know or believe this, but there are certain ebbs and flows of the game and certain patterns. And people say, well, how can there be patterns if the dice are random? Well, everything in nature has ebbs and flows and patterns, and I don't know how to explain or articulate it. It's just what I observe. My students, when they start observing what I'm telling them to look for, they start seeing it themselves, and that's the main thing. If I tell you something, it means nothing. If you observe it yourself, it means everything.
Over the years, I learned that myself from playing every day, just about out here in Vegas, and I say that there's trends. You have to play them, and it's one of the first things you have to realize about playing craps.
One thing I wanted to get back to, the question was, what method do I like the most? And it would be either the iron cross, which is betting the 5, 6, 8, and half the payout on the field, or a modified iron cross. And then lately I've been betting what we call the George Chen method. And those work consistently as well as any method. But again, no one method is going to work all the time. If it was, I'd be on my yacht in the Caribbean.
Okay, I see a lot of players, what I call making the mistakes of playing the right side of the table when the table's cold. Do you go along with that?
No, again, you have to be flexible. If it's a cold table, what I will do a lot is put a $25 don't pass bet, and then if the points other than a 6 and 8, I'll put $12 on the 6 and 8 each and get 1 or 2 hits and take everything down. Because as you know, Rick, we can remove the don't pass bet, where a pass line bet is a contract bet and must stay up, win or lose. If the point is a 6 or an 8, then I'll bet the 5 along with it. And again, I'm only looking for 1 or 2 hits on it and take everything down. If the 7 does come, I don't lose anything.
What's your win goal?
What I do, and I tell my students, is to win goal should be 20% of your buy-in. If you buy in for $100, a win goal should be $20. If you buy in for $500, a win goal should be $100. Plus or minus a few dollars. But most people don't do that. And the most important thing is to set a specific, realistic, and attainable goal. And when you make it, walk away from the table. Doesn't matter if it takes 5 minutes, 15 minutes, or an hour to make the goal. If you haven't made your goal in the hour, most likely you're not going to. $100 at a table is not bad, because if you do that at 5 tables in a day, that's $500 a day. If you do that for 10 days of the month, that's $5,000 a month. That is not bad for part-time work.
So, now I'm a DI, and I make money off my shooting, but I also play the way that you write about, because I realize that the 7's always coming, and you have to play smart if you live in a town that has gambling all the time. Otherwise, you have to run home to your mommy, tail between your legs, because you lost all your bankroll and you just can't make it here. Do you actually shoot when you're playing?
I'll shoot occasionally. I'm not a big advocate of dice influencing. I do believe that it does work, and there are people who have the ability to do it. But a lot of times, if you're at a table that's crowded, you may not get the dice for 45 minutes or an hour. And if you have a short roll, it may be another 45 minutes before you get the dice back. I like to bet 1 or 2 rolls on a shooter, and I can make my money on other people. The other thing is, I'm not getting any heat from the casino if I don't touch the dice, and I don't take that much from them. Again, making $100 at a table, they don't even notice me. But if you do that, like I said, at 5 tables or 5 different casinos, that's $500 a day. That's a good day's work.
Do you bet on everybody at the table, or do you pick certain shooters to bet on?
I'm very selective on who I bet on. The reason I say that, and I'll give some information out, is if I see a .7 out or a point number 7 out, I will qualify a shooter before I bet again. So I won't bet the next couple of shooters, because so many times I've seen .7 out or point number 7 out come in bunches where I can avoid 5 or 6 losing shooters and then get back on. And again, that's what I'm talking about with ebbs and flows at the table. If the table's cold, you don't need to play there, or you don't need to bet. You can walk away to another table. If you want to stay at the table because it's the only table at the casino, then just be patient and wait. As long as you have chips in your rack, the casino's not going to bother you. And that could be the difference between having a winning session and a losing session.
Okay, seeing as how I am a DI, I only go to tables when there's nobody else on them, so we differ on that. I only try to bet on myself and 1 or 2 other selected players. I always say you can make money off random rollers. Do you always look for a DI, or do you just bet on random rollers?
I bet on random rollers, and I bet on DIs. I see DIs who have fantastic rolls, and I see DIs who have short rolls. Same thing with random shooters. I see random shooters have great rolls, and random shooters have short rolls. But the thing is, a lot of my students who live on the East Coast don't have that luxury of going to a table that may be empty. So a lot of times their tables are full, and they want to know how they can make money at a full table. I know a lot of DIs that prefer to be at a table by themselves or with one other person. There are many reasons for that, and I agree with them. I don't like to shoot the dice because I don't like to shoot myself in the foot per se, but I do like making money playing craps, and I can do that on other people's rolls. But I agree with you that if you are DI, you can probably make as much, if not more, just on your own rolls than betting with anybody else. The other thing I would say is that the most important thing, and this is what you follow, because I know we've talked, is to set a specific, realistic, and attainable goal. A lot of times a DI will tell me I had a 20-roll hand or a 30-roll hand, and that's all well and good. It doesn't matter how many rolls you have. Just tell me, how much did you make, or how much did you lose? Because if you're making money, you don't have to have a 20-roll hand to make money. You can do it on 4 or 5 rolls and still be just as well off.
when you come into Vegas, are you playing for the fun of it, or are you playing strictly to make money?
I'm playing strictly to make money. For me, it's not fun. It is work. I'm observing the table, I'm concentrating, and I try to tell people, this is not entertainment. If you're here to play craps for entertainment and you do not mind losing, have fun. That's what you're doing. This is how I make money, and it's work to me. It's the fun is afterwards enjoying a nice meal with some friends and getting together. But again, it is work when I come to Vegas. You have to be concentrating on what you're doing and paying attention. Too many times people get caught up in the action and forget to turn their bets off or take their bets down, and then they are turning a winning session into a losing session.
One of the things I see at craps tables all the time is people socialize. And do you socialize when you're at the craps table?
Yeah, I'm friendly, but again, I'm more reserved. I'm not one of the people that's hooping and hollering. That's a lot of fun for the excitement, but again, sometimes it brings a lot of attention to the table, and if you're a DI, you don't want many people at the table. You want to be able to roll the dice and make your money and leave. And occasionally I'm at the table and people will be looking saying, well, why are you taking your bets down, or what are you doing? And I'll talk to them and answer their questions. The unfortunate thing is with most people, they don't understand the math of the game. They don't know the probabilities or the number of combinations of the dice. Most people are taught at the free tutorials at the casinos on how to play craps, and what they're taught is to make a pass line bet, take double odds, and then bet the 6 and 8 if it's not the point, or if it is the point, then make a couple come bets and take odds. And I don't play that way at all, not even close. I don't even make a pass line bet unless I'm the shooter. The reason being, if you look at the math, you can make more money with the same amount at risk doing a place bet than with a pass line bet or a come bet with odds. Last week I was up here and was talking to a gentleman, and we got into a little heated discussion because he said I was wrong, that a pass line bet with double odds was the best bet in Vegas. And I said, no, it's not, and here's how I can prove you're wrong with a place bet. And he goes, you don't need to prove anything to me, son. He says, I've been doing this for over 30 years. I've been doing it for a long time. And I'm thinking to myself, well, didn't you just tell me you were down $3,500 for the week? So here's a person who thinks they know how to play the game and have no concept of how to make money playing the game. Again, the casinos will teach you how to make the bets. They do not teach you can take your bets down. They do not teach you how to make money and winning. They just want you to play for entertainment. Big difference.
Well, I personally think that the worst bet you can make on a craps table is a pass line bet, par none. It's even worse than making prop bets at times, because the casino has you suckered in with that pass line bet. You can't turn it off. You can't do anything. It's locked in there. So, good point. Now, as far as prop bets go, do you think that there's any good prop bets?
Yes, I do. I have a saying that horns come in pair, and what I'm talking about are the horn numbers, which is the 2, 3, 11, and 12. A lot of times, if I see a horn number, I will bet the horn bet, or horn high-yo as it's called, because they repeat. Not all the times. Sometimes they'll skip a number and then come back, but I can make extra money doing it. Again, I'm very selective on when I make the bet. Sometimes a hard way bet is a good bet to make, as long as you have the soft bet covered, and there's different ways to hedge certain bets by using the prop bets. I will do a hop bet occasionally. For example, if I'm betting the George Chen method and I'm betting every number but the point, I may hop the point number, because if the shooter comes back with that point number, at least I make some money with risking very little. So there are times when it's good to use it, and other times when you want to avoid them. The prop bets, as you know, Rick, have the lowest probability of being made at the table. They do happen, but again, if you do a 2 or a 12, there's less than 3% probability that it's going to come up during any given roll of the dice. So the casinos are willing to pay a lot of money because they know they're going to win 97% of the time. Same thing with the hardway bets. They're great bets, but again, a low probability because there's only one way to make each of the hardways.
I personally have used hardway bets because I only play on bonus bet tables, and that would be fire bet tables, all tall, all small, replay bets. Any bet that I'm going to make a lot of money off what I would consider a simple bet, the casinos consider it a terrible bet. It's to my advantage. And if I happen to be on a table without a bonus bet, sometimes I will use a hardway bet as a bonus bet for myself. And you brought up a good point when you said that you have to cover the hard ways with more money on the soft ways than you do on the hard ways. And at one time they took a fire bet off a table that I used to play on all the time, and the dealers warned me about it, and I said, no problem, I'll make my own bonus bet, and immediately placed the hard 10 for $25, put $50 on the soft 10, and 2 rolls later or 3 rolls later I hit the hard 10. Bonus bet time. So there are no bad bets on the table if they are hitting. Do you agree?
Absolutely. And again, the key is if they're hitting and if you know what you're doing. If you're just throwing money out there for making bets, that's not the proper way. But you're doing it as, like you said, a bonus bet for yourself. And if the soft 10 came up, you still would have made money either way, and so that's the smart way to do it. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't understand certain ways to give themselves a bonus bet, as you call it, or even hedge. For example, if you lay the 4, you can always bet a hard 4, and the only number that's going to hurt you is a 3-1 or 1-3. So you have 2 ways out of 36 possible combinations to lose. Does it happen? Oh yeah, it does, and when it does, it hurts. But there's a lot of ways, like you and I have talked about, that you can use those hard ways to, either hedge or use it as a bonus.
You said something that struck me. I've been accused by some people in the craps world that I don't know about the math of the game, and yet I've read every book there possibly came out on the math and casino management. So it's very far from the truth. When we're talking probabilities and odds, what do you actually think is more important? The probability of something happening or the odds?
Well, people get those two terms confused or interchanged incorrectly. Probability is the likelihood of something happening. And since there's 36 combinations of the dice, there's only so many probabilities based on those combinations for a certain number to come up. For example, if the 5 was the number, there's only 4 ways to make the 5 out of 36 possible combinations. Now there's 6 ways to make the 7, and so you have 6 ways to lose if you're betting the 5 and 4 ways to win. When they talk about odds, when you bet the odds behind the line, that's why the casinos will pay you 3-2, because there's 6 ways to lose and 4 ways to win. So the ratio, if you break it down, is 3-2. People don't understand why the 4 and the 10 pay 2-1. Well, again, 3 ways to make a 4, 6 ways to make a 7 to lose. So there's 6-3, which is 2-1, and that's why the casinos for behind the line will pay you 2-1, which is the correct odds. Now, if you do a place bet, the casino doesn't pay true odds because you only have to hit the number once instead of twice to win. So they take a little bit off and they call that the VIG. And so that's why the 4 and 10 will pay 9-5 instead of 2-1. The 9 and 5 will pay 7-5 instead of 3-2, and the 6 and 8 will pay 7-6 instead of 6-5. But people don't understand this. They don't get into the math, why the casinos pay certain amounts on certain bets. They don't understand the number of combinations for all the dice or even particular numbers. And so that's why I say people have to understand and learn the math if they want to make money playing the game. If they're there for entertainment, then again, it doesn't matter. Just have fun.
You mentioned what I always write about is the so-called free odds. And if you read every book out there, they say that the best bet on the table is the free odds. Do you agree or do you disagree? And what advantage is it to the casino to have that bet, if any?
I disagree that free odds are the best bet. Everybody believes that. That is a myth. They're not free odds because in order to get true odds, you have to make a pass line bet or a come bet. And those pay even money. They're called flat bets. So let's take an example. Let's say the typical person bets $5 on the pass line and the point number is 4. And they take double odds and put $10 behind. If the 4 comes up, they'll get $5 even money for the pass line plus $20 for their $10 bet behind the line. So they're going to get a total of $25. If the next person, player B, say, makes a place bet for $15, risking the exact same amount, they will get paid 9 to 5. So they'll make $27 for the same $15. So they're making $2 more than the person making the pass line bet. The big difference is on a place bet, if the shooter rolls 3, 4, 5 numbers and you're feeling that 7 is coming, you can turn your place bet off or take it down. That pass line bet is a contract bet. You have to leave it up, win or lose. Now you can remove your odds, but once they're up there, most people do not want to take their odds down. And the casinos want you to have the odds because it's a way for them to make you bet more on the same number. Once the point is established, the probability goes against you because there's more ways to make the 7 than that number. And again, you can make a place bet on the numbers, and when you do, you only have to hit the number once to win. If you do a come bet, you have to hit the number twice. So that's what I'm saying. You can risk the same amount of money, make more money with the same bet, and have complete control over your money to take it down, where with the pass line bet or the come bet, you cannot.
Okay, David, I think that we gave out a lot of great information, and if somebody wanted to contact you, how would they do that? Because I know that you give out private lessons, and you do have classes, so let's hear your email address or do a little promo for your book.
Oh, great. Everybody can reach me at walkawaycraps.com. So that's www.walkawaycraps.com. My email is david@walkawaycraps.com. And I even give out my phone number, Rick, because unlike most authors, I'm happy to talk to people. So my number is 602-721-5218. Again, it's 602-721-5218. I do answer my phone personally. We'll talk to people and be glad to answer any questions that people have if they want to give me a call.
Okay, for all you guys, if you have any questions, you can write them into the form and ask away. You could get a hold of David personally and ask him anything you want to. He's a great guy. He's fun to be on the table with. And when I say fun to be on the table, when I use that word, most of the time I want to puke. Because for me, it is not a fun game to play. I discuss this with my wife all the time. And people that know me, I do not play craps for fun. It's just to make money. And hopefully, if you read Dave's books, you'll learn how to make money. So that's it. Anything else, Dave?
No, just the last book, the Holy Craps book, is the most comprehensive book on craps out there. It's good for beginners and the most experienced players, and I've had people who've been playing craps for 20, 25, 30 years call me and say that there are concepts in there and information they never even thought of or considered and thought it was very good. And so just put a plug in for the Holy Craps book. Thank you, Rick.
Yeah, I want to add one thing to that. My friend that got me interested in craps and got me started to play every time we came to Vegas together, he would lose, I would win. And I would tell him to bet the 5s and the 9s because that's what I was rolling. And what actually happened was that he would not listen to me. He read the other books and he said the best bets on them tables are the 6s and 8s, and that's all I'm going to bet on. And finally, the year before he passed away, he came back out to Vegas. He lived in New York, and he finally started betting the way I was telling him to bet. And I have a saying, take what the table's giving you. And I was rolling 5s and 9s at that time, and he made money.